Welcome everyone, welcome. My name is Sal. Okay, if you're Muslim you can call me Salim. To my family and Turkish people you can call me Selim. But for racists and bigots you can call me Selim a bunch of bananas. Why are you laughing? Oh, bananas. Yeah, I've got something funnier than that comes next. My jackfruits, yes. Yeah, I can see you all staring at my jackfruits. So I've just introduced you to a few forms of humor. Okay, we don't necessarily all find, humor funny. I mean, we do have different senses of humor. But I've just demonstrated self-deprecation, sarcasm, and innuendo. I was a teacher, would you believe it? I used to be a teacher. I still have that teacher ability in me. And I was a supply teacher, or depending on where you are from the world, a substitute teacher. And these agencies would always send me into the roughest, toughest schools because Sal can handle it. So the moment I walked into a classroom, the kids would be tearing around, jumping, screaming, jumping on desks and touching things they shouldn't really be touching. And then I would look out and find the ones that gave me some attention. And then I'd ask them. I'd say, would you like to see some mime? And then I would pick up an object. And slowly but surely, I could see in the corner of my eye that the situation was changing. Kids were calming down. And when I got to this point, I grabbed their attention. So then what I would ask the kids, I say, okay, fine. Now you get on with your work, okay? And at the end of the lesson, I'll show you a robot playing pool. Yeah? Yeah, I'll show you a robot playing pool. Okay, but you have to work, because I'm not going to reward misbehavior. It never always worked. By the end of the lesson, sometimes they'd been misbehaving and, it wouldn't work for me. And I'd have, sir, you said you were going to do the robot. You're going to do the robot. Did you behave? No. So why should I reward you with misbehavior? But then word got around the school that there was a teacher who could do a robot. And then that was my way of influencing them to change that situation. That was my influence. So it made my life easier because I use that humor. And when they behaved themselves, I would show them the robot. And that was their reward. Now, the older children, well, they're influenced by popular icons, okay, like people like David Beckham. But David Beckham does have his idiosyncrasies, and that's what comedians pick on. We pick on their idiosyncrasies and we make a joke of it. Because David Beckham does have a strange voice.
Hello, my name is David, and I like to play soccer. Football, yeah. Oh, I'm in a state. No, I've been living in a state for too long, yeah.
And then there is other public icons like Sean. Yes, I am Scottish, and I have a very sexy voice with a lisp. Shaken, but not stirred. So then what I found is that just made my life a lot easier by making people laugh and just sensing the fact that you've laughed as well. You feel a little more relaxed, don't you? A little more lightheaded. Now, I believe as well that we do have the power as comedians, as humorists, to change opinion as well, to make that change. And one way, something I noticed that I made a joke of, okay, and I have to tell you this joke before I explain that change, because I'm going to try and take credit for this change. When I first came to Bangalore, I thought, it must be easy to ride a motorbike. I've been riding a motorbike in England, it's fine. But no, it was the worst video game I've ever played. Because buses, okay, they're like battering rams. And traffic signals, red, green, yellow, it all means go. 2 speeds, go faster. And if you pass a stationary bus, you could get spat on. But if you go underneath the bridge as the train is going over, you could get shat on. Now that's a joke that we understand. It's a localized joke. Okay, let me explain it to people who wouldn't understand that. I saw people waiting just in front of the bridge as the train was going over, and I couldn't understand why. I couldn't figure that one out until I actually caught a train. And then when I went to the toilet, I realized that it's just a hole, isn't it? It's a hole. And then it goes directly onto the track. And then when you go over the bridge, there's gaps between the slabs, and that goes directly onto the road. And that, by repeating that joke time and time again, I realized that one day, as I was going under the bridge, that they'd actually put corrugated metal sheets on the underside of the bridge. And I thought, wow, maybe that was me, I don't know. Did I instigate that change? Well, the next day, I mean, actually, it happened to me yesterday. I did see the train going over, people waiting at the front of the bridge, or just at the front of the bridge, and there is corrugated sheets underneath that. But they still wait, because they haven't broken that habit yet. What are they waiting for? Are they waiting for the wheel to fall off and then crash onto the road? I don't know. Maybe that's the next joke. But I believe that when you next come up to a traffic signal and it's red, think twice about cutting through it, because, you know, I kind of ridicule people for like jumping the lights, because it can create accidents, can't it? Simple. Now, on the personal levels, you know, that's something that would just, like I said, is very localized. It's very localized, but something that we all experience, that happens to all of us, or can happen. I had a bout of insomnia. And it was a guy who was next door playing his guitar at 12 o'clock at night. Okay, and I'm not saying anything about guitar players tonight. They're great guitar players, because this guy could only play one note, ding, 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 and he just kept on going, ding, 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 and I'm lying there, ding, ding, 1 hour's passed, ding, 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 and he still hasn't changed the note, ding, ding, it's 1:30, ding, ding, and it's still the same, ding, 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 and then that's coupled with the dogs howling, and they are having a conversation. How are you, Fred? Oh, good. What are you doing? Oh, just keeping up the neighborhood. What are you doing in the day? Sleeping. And then the like, what the hell is that? What is that? And I discover it's a minor bird. But wait till the morning, you know, the dawn chorus. No, 3 o'clock in the morning, with a couple of crows. And then by 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm still awake, and then the church, the mosque, and the temple sound off. And then when the sun's coming up, the Indian squirrel or the chipmunk goes. It doesn't stop. It's continual. It's that big. And it doesn't stop until the train in the distance. And then the more distant trains. And when that dies down, the auto rickshaws pass your road. And then a foghorn, and that noise you think is coming from a lorry or a truck, but no, it's not. It's coming from a scooter. Now, in hindsight, that was a terrible night. That was a really, really awful night for me. I had such a bad night. It was terrible, but I can laugh about that now. I can. That's a story that I can laugh about, and that's a story that I can tell you, and you find that funny. So, you know. But we're not all comedians, and I'm not saying we're all comedians, but we all have the ability to make ourselves laugh. Because it's quite simple. Just observe, look, listen, and all around you will find something that's funny. Now, if you're a great storyteller, then it's good. But a comedian has presence, good delivery, and And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, comic timing. So what I'm saying is, please don't become comedians because you'll put me out of a job. All right? But then, as bad as that situation was, it wasn't so bad. Comedy and humor can be used in the face of adversity as well. And I'm going to refer to a film in particular. And this film is called Life is Beautiful. And I'm sure a lot of people will watch this film. And if you haven't, I'll just describe it briefly to you. Roberto Benigni, who was the actor and the director of this film, plays a character called Guido, who's an Italian Jew. And what happens is he stows his son away in a concentration camp. And he hides his son. And throughout that, he concocts this game. And the winner of the game gets a tank. And all through that experience, he's keeping his spirits high, he's keeping his son's spirits high, because he's hiding his child from the grave consequences of what could happen to them, and keeping that child's innocence. So in the face of an adversity, it's a means of survival. Now, comedy for me as well, comedy for me has been cathartic. Because I've had my ups and downs. I've had some really bad situations. And what I used to do is I used to take that annoyance and my gripes and my angst, and I would take it on stage, and I would make people laugh. I'd make people laugh. And that made me feel good. And that made me feel better. But it's very important for me to say that there is a difference. Yeah, you have to differentiate between which is negative. What you were doing this evening and laughing was positive. And that is energy. And that is the power of humor. Thank you.